My name is Devin Weintz. I'm 29 years old. I'm a bodybuilder and competitive men's physique athlete. I've suffered from anxiety and depression for about 8 years, and just recently in the last year have found a way to overcome and manage my anxiety and depression.
What caused a lot of trauma?
A lot of the trauma would have to be going back to when I was a kid. My stepdad was an alcoholic and did a lot of drugs towards the end of the relationship with my mom and him, and it kind of hit me pretty hard when we had to leave him and everything. Also being bullied for most of my life and being kind of told like I'm an outcast and I'm annoying and I talk too much as well. Just a lot of that kind of hit me hard, and most recently would be my breakup when I was 16. I don't know what happened, it was like a breaking point for me, and from then, that day forward, it was just a snowball effect, so. So when I was 18, I was just getting into drinking. I wasn't a big fan of it at the time, and I got introduced to the wrong people, and they like to party all the time. So I got into partying, and from there I just enjoyed that because it felt like it gave me some sort of outlet that I was accepted because people wanted to party with me. Because being annoying when you're drunk is more fun. So I partied and got to the point where I partied 3 times a week, getting drunk every night that I went out, and it just started snowballing and taking effect in a negative way, whether it was getting hungover for work or missing shifts because I was hungover, and yeah, it was just something that really was not good.
Why did you choose drinking?
When I would drink and get drunk, it was like, I don't know, it changed kind of how I acted and how I felt about myself. I had more confidence. I was happier, just because it was like, you know, you're going to a party, it's something positive, you're going to have fun. So when I was drinking, I was able to be myself and not care, because I knew that when people were drunk that, you know, they made a fool of themselves and nobody cared. They're like, oh, they're just drunk, like it's no big deal. So I kind of felt this way of like, I could just relax and enjoy myself for once, and nobody really cared or would remember the next day, so.
You were talking about your, like, having suicidal thoughts, like, what do you think was the main cause of having thoughts like that?
For me, a lot of the suicidal thoughts that I had was, I feel a deep-rooted hate on my life and, you know, regret on the choices I made. I didn't like the way my life was, where it was going, and thinking about my future, I felt hopeless because I've always been an artsy person. I didn't like working a job, and I didn't like having to be told what to do. So, you know, I thought about those things, and then being depressed, it just made me hate my life because I didn't want to have to keep going through the same thing I went through every year. You know, whether it was can't find a good job that I liked, or being unhappy because I was broke, or, you know, partying and waiting for the next fun trip wherever it was. It was just like, you know, a vicious cycle of, you know, negative stuff, being around the wrong people, and, you know, eventually I just broke and kept thinking like, well, you know, life would be better if I wasn't here. I wouldn't have to deal with all this pain, and, you know, eventually I snapped out of that due to like who I surround myself with in the future and fitness and stuff, so.
How did you get into, what's your first memory of getting into fitness?
It would have been when I first moved to Edmonton. I signed up for World Health. Me and my best friend, we moved in together, and we both were like, well, we need to go to a gym. So we signed up for World Health down the road, and when I went there, I met this guy who was a competitive physique athlete, and he was a coach there. And I wasn't really into bodybuilding or anything like that. I just kind of wanted to get into shape because I was sick and tired of being skinny. You know, my whole life, I was the scrawny kid that women didn't want to be with because, you know, it's like, oh, you're underweight, like you can't protect me, and, you know, it's less attractive being skinny. I mean, same with the other spectrum, being overweight too, but for me, experience-wise, you know, being skinny, it sucked. You know, I never really got much in life that I liked. And so with fitness, it helped me achieve that. And he showed me about competing, and, you know, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. he kind of just showed me that like when you compete, it kind of changes how you are mentally through the journey. And at first I kind of shrugged it off, but the more I kept, working at it and seeing the results, I was like, maybe I should try it. And then that's when I got hooked to fitness, and then things just kept getting better and better, and the results just kept coming in, and I felt good, and I just couldn't stop.
When did you first compete, like on a stage?
That would have been October of 2017. I was in Edmonton, and I did the Muscle Beach in 2017, and with no coach. I didn't even diet, actually. I just winged it and went on stage. I got 11th out of 16, which was, to me, was pretty cool, but obviously isn't what I wanted. So
like, how did you decide to compete, like, rather than try to compete?
I seen that it was like a goal, and having a goal is always good because it kind of gives you something to work towards. And like going back to like my suicidal thoughts, a lot of it was because I wasn't really doing much in life, and I didn't amount to anything in my head. So if I competed, I felt like it took my mind off a lot of the anger and a lot of the negative stuff and put me into somewhere I could work towards. And if I do well, or I even progress in general, it's something I can go back on and be proud of. And that's kind of why I wanted to compete, was to have that accountability and that, experience to look back and be like, I did that, I worked my ass off and I did that. Yeah, I made it out of one, but I worked my ass off and I stuck to it and I did it,
How many shows have you competed so far?
It would have been 4. I've done 4 as of, last year, so.
How do you see yourself now and past, and how do you see yourself in the future?
And now I feel I'm content with the progression I'm making. I'm happy with, like, I'm gonna still have my insecurities that are like, to me, are minor compared to what they used to be before, but I'm happy with the overall like direction I'm going. In the past, I'm like happy actually that I went through what I went through, because I feel like if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't have the future that I'm kind of dreaming and working towards, which is, I want to be a professional men's physique athlete. I want to inspire people to, not use medication and try and use fitness as their therapy for, their anxiety and depression. That's kind of where I see myself, and, again, my past is the reason why I am where I am, so.
And you said your stepdad passed away this year, last year?
Last year, yeah. So he did a lot of drugs when I was younger. Like I said, it was like roughly like the last couple of months of my mom and him being together. We found out he was doing a lot of like cocaine and like all the hard drugs like heroin and meth and stuff like that. And so we like stopped talking to him for a bit. And when I was 18, I left him when we were, it would have been 15 or 14. And so it was from 15, 14 to 18 when I last talked to him. And then I saw him when I was working up north when I was 25, and that's when we kind of started communicating. And I actually saw him in person, and we hung out and everything. And it was weird, but it was amazing. And I thought that we could rekindle our friendship outside of like him being my stepdad. But I think he still had a lot of issues from the drugs. And what happened was he had to take heart medication because of the drugs, and he wasn't taking it properly, and they found him in his camper at the airport. He didn't wake up, and he was supposed to go to work, which he was working up north still. And I wasn't talking to him for about maybe just under a year, and I found out, on the 25th of September. So it was of 2020.
Was it hard? Like, did you feel guilty about telling him?
Yeah, I had a lot of guilt, and it sucks because like I kind of found out right before I did my prep for the last show, so it was like kind of a kick in the nuts, like right before I started prepping for a show, and I didn't really know what to do. But it hurt because the last thing that he knew about me, my mom told me, was that he thought that I just wanted to talk to him for money, that he thought that I just wanted to hang out with him and was using him to get money from him, which it wasn't the case at all. I had no intent on using money. I just wanted to hang out with him and get to know him again. And so it sucks to know that like I stopped talking to him because, he would call me drunk, and, I pushed him away. And then you find that out, it just kind of, it's like, it really hurts to hear that, you know, especially when he was like the closest, he was a dad. He was like, you know, he was my stepdad, but he was my dad. You know, he was there from 2.5 years old till I was, you know, 15, 14. And he raised me. And so it's like, it does take a huge hit on me, you know. I think that, like, you know, when he passed, the first few days it was like pretty tough, and I was kind of in denial, but you know, I found that like him passing kind of gave me this like eye-opener to push myself to work harder, because I know that he would be looking down and being like, you know, so it would be proud for me to do that. And so when I was at the gym doing my cardio, you know, I had moments where I would almost cry, because I wanted to make my family so proud of how hard I can work and, you know, prove myself. And I had him in my head, like, you know, because he wanted to see my last show when we last spoke, which it would have been for 2018's show. And yeah, like he would have been there if we were still talking. And so it's like, it made me work, and I ended up doing really well. And it's like, I feel like that kind of opened me up to like realizing that, you know, yes, he's passed and it sucks, but you know, now I don't have to stress about his health anymore. It's over with. He's in a better place, and now I can use that as fuel to really push to get to where I need to be, you know, to make him proud for wherever he is. So.
What kind of message do you want to give from this video?
I want a lot of people to really rethink on their personality, you know, because everyone's different. Every person's personality is different when they're going through a lot of anxiety and depression. But there's one thing that we all relate, is that we have anxiety and depression. And I don't like seeing people, you know, go to doctors and therapists and that's the first route they take. I'm very against prescribed medication. I think that it doesn't do anything. It's just more of like a Band-Aid. And I really think that naturopath, like, you know, CBD oil, natural health products are a better option. And I think instead of doing therapy, I think, you know, using motivational audios, podcasts that talk about it, and music and fitness would be a better option. And I want to motivate people to kind of work towards that, because if I can sit there and go from 8 years of depression, suicidal thoughts, making horrible mistakes, and it's like an endless cycle that never seemed to end, to where I'm getting my stuff together without even seeing one therapist and without even going on one medication, I think that anyone can do it. And it's, you know, it's a game changer. You know, it makes you feel a lot stronger inside when you know you can do it yourself, kind of thing, instead of using medication. So I just want people to see that and know that it's not over for them, and that, you know, if I can do it, and, you know, fitness saves my life, you know, fitness can save their life.